As you know, habits are a double-edged sword. Your current habits can lead you to a better life, but they can also hold you back over time. It's no exaggeration to say, if you can control your habits, you can control your life. So, let's take a moment to reflect. Right now, are you making progress every day? Or are you this year pretty much the same as last year? No major changes or growth. Building and maintaining habits isn't a new topic, and for many, the book Atomic Habits is probably no stranger. Before reading this book, I'd already come across plenty of similar books about forming habits. Some dive into habit building from a psychological perspective, while others offer practical tips and techniques. But what makes Atomic Habits stand out is how the author delivers his message: logical, practical, and concise. Most importantly, the core value I took away is this: changing yourself means changing your identity. Instead of relying solely on willpower to stick to a habit, it's far better to transform yourself from the inside out. Now, let's dive into this incredibly helpful book together. Live Like a Bamboo Shoot. The famous American psychologist William James once said, "Sow an action, and you reap a habit. Sow a habit, and you reap a character. Sow a character, and you reap a destiny." Good habits shape your life. But too often, we turn a blind eye to small changes. We ignore them because we convince ourselves that big success requires big actions. That's why so many people overlook the value of small, daily improvements. And because of this, we procrastinate time and time again. Worse yet, we often lose patience because we don't fully grasp the hidden power of gradual change. But those small things, they're the key to creating compound interest in your life. The book mentions a formula. If you improve by 1% each day for a year, by the time you finish something, you could be 37 times better. On the flip side, if you regress by 1% daily for a year, your abilities could drop to nearly zero. Some might argue this is just a mechanical analogy, but I'd say, hold off on judging it too soon. Test it for yourself first. When we haven't started making changes, jumping to conclusions is just an excuse. Tiny changes can lead to massive results because maintaining habits is like earning compound interest on your life. Take a look at the latent compound interest period chart. When we do something, we often idealize our efforts, thinking progress should be a straight line upward because we expect instant results. But in reality, building a good habit is more like a curve. At first, when you start adjusting a habit, that curve dips down. You don't see much difference, and it's easy to get discouraged, wondering if your efforts are even worth it. That dip is what I call the valley of disappointment. A lot of people fall into it and give up halfway. But here's the thing. You've got to trust that if you push past that critical breaking point, the results will show up. This is a universal trait of any compounding process. The biggest payoffs always come later. It's like the philosophical principle of quantity and quality. When small changes pile up to a certain level, they transform into a qualitative leap. That certain level is the breakthrough moment after the latent compound interest period. Think of habits like a bamboo shoot. For the first 5 years, no matter how perfect the conditions, you barely notice it growing. But after 5 years, like magic, it starts shooting up 12 inches a day and can hit 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Turns out, those 5 years were spent building potential underground, digging deep roots, waiting for the day it could stretch high and far. The deeper the roots, the taller the plant. Change like that. How could it not turn you into someone extraordinary? So, live like a bamboo shoot. Always remember, no change is too small to matter. If you only focus on the finish line, you'll fail. Obsessing over the result you want is like locking yourself into a narrow mindset. Every goal carries a hidden assumption. Once I hit this target, I'll be happy. That kind of thinking is a trap, It delays your joy. I'll only be happy once I get there. But when you do get there, you probably won't feel as thrilled as you expected. Sometimes, it's more like a weird letdown. Why? Because then you start chasing the next milestone. When you fixate on a specific goal, your motivation becomes, I have to achieve this. It drives you forward, sure. But once you cross the finish line, that fire fizzles out. That's why so many people slip back into old patterns after hitting their target. Here's what you need to keep in mind. Building habits isn't about winning some prize. It's about creating a system of gradual, continuous improvement. So how do you build that system? I'll explain more in the next section. But first, you've got to ditch the habit of focusing only on outcomes. The best way to stay motivated is to zero in on the process, the present moment. You don't need to save happiness for later, or wait for some perfect success to feel satisfied. You don't have to hold off on joy until some milestone. You can be happy right now, throughout the journey of sticking to your habit. That mindset will make it way easier to stay consistent and resilient. The secret to sticking with habits: know your identity. Research shows that behind every system of actions lies a system of beliefs. Behaviors that don't align with your identity won't last. What does this mean? Pay attention to the words identity and belief. Your beliefs and your sense of self play a huge role in the behavior changes you make. Before you do anything, let your belief become that person. In other words, before starting a habit, figure out who you want to be. Who you believe you are will shape how you act. The stronger that belief, the more consistently you'll repeat the behavior. The more you repeat it, the more your belief strengthens, and the clearer your identity becomes. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that builds lasting growth. It's what pushes you to keep evolving and can even change your destiny. For example, if you want to stick to running, decide your identity is an athlete. If you want to read more, to write books, or create content, tell yourself, I'm a creative person. If you don't know who you are before you act, you'll always start strong but fizzle out. Or worse, the process will feel like a slog and leave you miserable. So here's the takeaway. Habits are how you express who you are. First, understand yourself. Know who you want to become. Then, use that belief about yourself to build a habit system that creates a happy, thriving life. From this angle, let's flip the script a bit and realize something. We've got to stop labeling ourselves or others. Take parents, for instance. They want their kids to study hard and be self-disciplined. But when they see their kid watching TV or playing games, they snap, "Why are you so lazy?" Those labels I'm talking about, lazy, careless, play-obsessed, they're like self-fulfilling prophecies. Keep slapping those labels on over and over, and they might just come true. Now let's get to the basic logic of how habits form. The book The Power of Habit covers this too. We need to understand how habits work before we act. This isn't just some random fact. It's about digging into the root of why habits exist. Without this, you'll always be stuck half-finishing things. So what are the 4 steps? They are cue, craving, response, and reward. Here's an example. When you hear the Facebook message chime, that's the cue. As soon as you hear it, you want to know who's messaging you and why. That's the craving. Then you grab your phone and check the message. That's the response. Finally, you read it. Find out who's reaching out and what they want, satisfying your curiosity. That's the reward. Think about it. Don't most of our daily actions follow this 4-step pattern? Putting on clothes, tying your shoes, flipping on the lights, brushing your teeth, snacking, all of it. Here's the scary part. Once it's rolling, you can't stop it. Say you tell yourself, tonight I'll read 20 pages of a book. But as soon as you plop onto the couch, you grab your phone, lie down, crank the AC, and start scrolling Facebook. Next thing you know, you're on TikTok, and the whole evening's gone. That's a chain of actions from a habit you've already built. It's so automatic you don't even think about it. That's why you've got to understand how habits tick, so you can break the bad ones and build the good ones right. So how do you do it right? Let's break down the 4 steps to sticking with habits. Step 1. Make it obvious. Here's the deal. Our strongest sense is sight. It accounts for about 90% of all our sensory input. If you can tap into that visual advantage, you can nail the cue part of a habit. Say you want to build a reading habit. If your books are stacked in a corner and you only notice them when you need them, how are you supposed to make it stick? To make a habit a core part of your life, it's gotta be in your face all the time. For me, I keep books everywhere I can see and reach them. On the couch, the TV stand, my nightstand, my desk, the bookshelf, places right in my line of sight. I even carry a small book in my backpack. Whenever I've got a free moment, I can just grab it and read. The same trick works for breaking bad habits. You've got to ditch the triggers. Say you crave snacks every afternoon, especially if you're an office worker. Instead of stocking up on chips, candy, or sugary milk tea, swap in fruit or nuts and put them where you can see and grab them easily. It's a win-win, energy boost, better health, and no junk in sight. No more seeing snacks, no easy access to gaming, no tempting apps eating up your time. Without constant, obvious cues, the behavior won't kick in as easily. Over time, those bad habits fade away. Step 2. Make it irresistible. Here's a killer formula to kickstart a good habit. Stack habits and pair them with stuff you love. Check it out. Habit stacking. After a current habit, I'll do the new habit I want to build. Like, after I take off my work clothes, I'll lace up my sneakers and head to the gym. Or, after I finish this coffee, I'll read for an hour. Pairing with likes. After a habit I need, I'll do a habit I want. I use this all the time. I'm terrible at keeping a journal, but I love taking photos. So almost every day, I snap pics of cool, beautiful, or fun stuff I see. Then, I jot down a few lines to go with them. It makes my memories pop and I end up sticking to both habits while enjoying the heck out of it. Journaling's the need, and photography's the want. In psychology, this is called preference bundling. It's based on research by Professor David Premack, using high-frequency behaviors to boost low-frequency ones. It makes habits way more appealing. But what if you can't control those cravings? Here's the trick. Borrow group power. Our genes are wired for it. Our ancestors couldn't survive alone. Whether it was wild animals or disasters, they needed their tribe to feel safe and secure. In the video summary of the social animal I mentioned earlier, that need for tight-knit connections is baked into us. So lean on it. Use group strength to ditch bad habits. Join a running club, a hobby group, or a class. If you slack off, you might get called out or even kicked out. For some, that's enough to light a fire under them to stay on track. Step 3. Make it easy. The golden rule here? Lower the difficulty. Want to stick to the gym? Don't overthink which place is cheaper, has better equipment, or the best trainers. Just pick the one closest to your house, somewhere you can get to without a hassle. Cut the resistance by setting up your environment right. Also, stick to the 2-minute rule. Early on, know this. Life has a few make-or-break moments that shape your path. Deciding to cook or order takeout, biking or driving to work, scrolling your phone or reading a book. Those little forks in the road are your life's turning points. A good or bad day hinges on these split-second calls. Stack up enough of the right ones, and you'll end up somewhere totally different. That's why the author suggests starting new habits with actions that take less than 2 minutes, so you don't lose steam. Instead of read every night before bed, make it read 1 or 2 pages. The 2-minute rule is about nailing that tiny first step. Sticking to habits is tough, but if the start's easy, The rest flows naturally. Small, humble actions are crazy powerful. Trust this. Once you start doing the right stuff, it gets a whole lot easier. On the flip side, to ditch bad habits, throw up roadblocks. Can't stop checking your phone? Delete the time suck apps. Can't quit gaming? Make firing up a game a pain in the neck. Step 4. Make it fun. Here's the deal. Bad habits are hard to shake because they give you instant gratification. Winning a game level feels like a trophy. Eating sweets hits the spot right away. But our brains suck at clocking distant threats, like the frog in boiling water. The heat creeps up, and it doesn't realize it's toast. Bad habits feel good now, but screw you over later. Good habits are the opposite. So watch out for quick thrills. The faster the payoff, the more you should ask, is this good for me long term? To build a good habit, sprinkle some instant joy into stuff that pays off down the road. For bad habits, pile on the misery. One solid way to boost that instant satisfaction: track your habits. Grab a habit tracker, stick it on the wall where you'll see it, and mark it every time you nail an action. It's simple, but it's like a mental high five. It keeps you rolling. 2 big things to note, though. Grind through tough days. Over quitting. No matter what, don't give up. At least when you push through, you keep your identity intact. Remember, quitting twice in a row is the start of a bad habit. Don't let the tracker become the goal. When the measure becomes the target, it stops being a good measure. It's a classic management saying. If a company obsesses over KPIs, employees just game the numbers without real progress. Same deal. If you're just checking boxes on your tracker, it's meaningless. Tracking's a tool to build habits, not the endgame. Don't live for the tracker or the goal. That's the 4-step rundown for building good habits and kicking bad ones. This video summary is pretty solid so far, but I've got some key reminders from the book that are just as clutch. First, the whole book hammers home one big idea. Habit building is a daily grind, a compound interest game, a long-term time investment. But our time's limited. So, how do you know you're betting on the right habit? Here's the thing, we're all different. Everyone's got their own path. Your job? Figure out what you're good at, what you need to improve, and what you want to change. The book's answer: do what you find fun that others think is boring. The sign you're a fit for something isn't just if you like it. It's if you can handle its grind better than most. Others dread it. You shrug it off. It doesn't faze you, or you even enjoy it. Second, don't over-rely on habits. Heads up, habits have traps. Making something second nature can sometimes lead to mediocrity. If someone's stuck in a daily rut, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all on autopilot, they're not breaking through. So, how do you dodge that? Don't expect habits to be a straight line. Aim for curves, new curves, more curves. To pull that off, you've got to practice with intention. For more on deliberate practice, check out the video I'll link here. The peak of intentional practice is hitting a flow state. Flow isn't a habit. It's full-on laser focus. The best habit-building process gets you into flow, then masters it. But you've got to keep pushing with purpose to level up and become a pro. The last thing I took away: we need to keep reflecting and checking ourselves. Don't let your identity hijack you. I've stressed how crucial your belief in your identity is for habits. But lean too hard on it, and if you fall short, you'll feel lost, crushed, and weak. One final wrap-up for today's video. These little habits don't just add up. They multiply, stack, and snowball into game-changing shifts in your life. Once you nail a new habit, it sparks a chain of other positive changes. Take me. Building a reading habit way back flipped my life upside down in the best way. It hit deep. If you can find a solid starting point in your life, dive in and let it transform you. That's gold, reliable and awesome. Wishing us all success in finding our life's leverage and using habit systems to make our lives more meaningful. Thanks for tuning in. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs it and drop me a like. Leave your thoughts or takeaways in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. Don't forget to hit follow and turn on notifications for my weekly videos. Thanks again. Catch you in the next one.